Did everyone receive 2 documents and have a pin also? Wonderful. We're going to turn it over to Jeff here soon. I want to make sure, though, that the difference between the 2 documents, they look very similar, but one is a place to offer feedback that you are welcome to turn into us at the very end of the service here today, or you can provide your feedback through email. But I wanted to make sure that you realize these are 2 different documents, one that you can turn back into us with feedback. If you need a pin, we have extra pins, and then the other one has most of the information. Don't get too into this right now, because Jeff is going to take your attention someplace completely else. Here you are, Jeff.
Good morning, everyone. Bruce is unable to be with us today, so bear with me as we do have a short agenda, but there's some business we need to take care of before we hear from the members of the steering committee, and that is a renewal of terms for Doug Nelson and Jess Dager in their new term for elders. So if we could please have a vote at this time. Those in favor of a renewal for Jess and Doug, please do so by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Very good. Thanks, Doug and Jess, for renewing for another term. As we will hear from 3 members of the steering committee, this will be an ongoing set of meetings that we will have to keep everybody updated and information flowing as we enter through this discerning process. So there could be some action items that the board will consider in July, but we'll see when that time comes. So Jess, I believe you are up first, correct?
Phew, thanks guys for voting me in again. I was close there for a minute, just kidding. Just kidding. Well, good morning. Today's meeting is an update from the New Beginnings steering team. We're not presenting a finished plan, obviously, but we are sharing the direction that is emerging from our New Beginnings team as we synthesize information from the house groups and discern where God is leading us next. Our goal today is to share what we believe God may be leading UniPlace next, to name decisions that are coming soon, and to celebrate our continued work together. And we are asking for your feedback today in written form that the New Beginnings team will evaluate at our next meeting, which is on Tuesday, June 30th. And for some of you, this is great news because you are a ruminator, you like time to discern and put your thoughts together on paper. And for some of you, it's bad news because you've got ideas like right on the tip of your tongue. So I hope you'll just bear with us and know that it's really a desire to protect the ruminators among us, and to give the team written things that we can really discern and sort through and tease out. So please bear with us. If you prefer to email your feedback, please send it to Isaac before June 30th, or just as we're going along, scratch, and turn that in at the end. Today we want to focus on 3 main topics. The first, and probably most pressing, is calling our transitional minister. The second is proposing a co-minister leadership model to support both redevelopment and the existing congregation following our transition period. And lastly, a new and exciting direction for redevelopment that we are exploring. So I'm going to turn things over to Doug.
So the most immediate leadership question is the need for a transitional minister. Chris has announced her retirement, and her last Sunday will be October 11th, 2026. We will celebrate with her and her family on Sunday, September 13th. We need a clear plan for pastoral administrative continuity sooner than later. The New Beginnings team recommends Isaac serve as transitional minister because Isaac is an ordained disciples pastor. Isaac already knows our congregation. Isaac is well connected in our community, and Isaac is excited about our redevelopment possibilities. This seems like a natural and faithful plan. At the same time, this should not be handled casually. The transitional minister's role would be different from a permanent settled minister's role. It is time limited for this season of transition. A transitional minister is very similar to an interim minister, but in our disciples' polity, an interim minister cannot be a candidate for the permanent role. This team would like to consider Isaac for the permanent role as well. A full search process will occur later for settled leadership. Because of the timeline of Chris's retirement, and because Isaac is already well known to the congregation, we suggest the board meet in July to vote on this proposal. We have consulted with the region, and they agree that this is a logical next step. Eric Freifogel is constructing a job description and compensation package that will be circulated with the board in the coming weeks. To call Isaac as our transitional minister will require a 2/3 majority vote from the board and the congregation. So the questions that you will be able to answer in the next few days are, what concerns should the board address before acting, and what communication would help you feel informed and included?
All right, we'll move on to our next issue that we have here. And as somebody who was in full-time ministry most of my adult life, my last pastorate for 10 years, I was by myself, running a church about this size, maybe slightly bigger, but it was a lot of work, and I put a lot into it, and I got burnt out, to be honest. And so what we're proposing here in this co-minister leadership model is something that will help our church to be healthy, because if you don't have healthy leadership, it's going to be really hard to have a healthy church. And so what we're proposing is this co-minister leadership model. Our New Beginnings team is pursuing the redevelopment model that we discussed during the small group process. The redevelopment for UniPlace includes pursuing new things while also caring for the existing congregation. For this reason, we recommend a co-minister model for the future. Isaac plans to apply for a settled minister position when the search for that role opens. But going forward means we need to care for two things at the same time. First, we want to maintain and strengthen the congregation that's brought us this far. This includes worship, pastoral care, administration, community, elders, board life, and the ministries we already know and love. Believe me, a pastor's job is just not Sundays. It's throughout the week. And so there are a lot of things listed there just to keep things moving along for everybody. But secondly, we need leadership capacity for redevelopment. Includes building new programs, connecting with new people, developing partnerships, communicating a clear vision, and creating a structure that can grow over time. Two ministers that will share responsibility would bring different and complementary gifts. They would share pastoral, worship, teaching, administrative, and redevelopment responsibilities in ways that are clear, collaborative, and most importantly, sustainable. So what does that look like? The proposed timeline is listed here. In July, we would call Isaac as a transitional minister that we just talked about, that Doug shared with us. In August, we would begin the search process for finding the settled co-ministers. That word settle is more the permanent people that we would have together serving our congregation. September, interviews. October, selection. November, the board and congregation will vote. And hopefully in January, we would have these two co-ministers beginning their work together with our congregation. And so things to consider are the questions that are listed here. What excites you about this co-minister model? Is there things that we need to be able to understand better to understand how this would work? What hopes or concerns do you have about calling new ministerial leadership? Of course, people who are leading our church, it's an important part of our lives. And then what leadership gifts do you think that the church UniPlace needs in the next several years? And those are things we'll want to be looking forward to. So yeah, if you have questions, ideas, answers, input, we appreciate that about this. Jess, back to you.
Can I get a drum roll, please? because I do have some very exciting ideas to share with you guys. So I hope we can transition from thinking about some administrative things and scheduling things to a time of real creative and passion, okay? Because this is some really exciting things that I'm going to be sharing. Section 3, the redevelopment direction. We are exploring a center for spiritual formation. Over the past several months, we've heard a desire from UniPlace, from you all, to continue to be a congregation rooted in worship and learning, belonging, justice, and spiritual depth. So I hope that's affirming. We're doing a lot of things very well. We have also heard a need for new ways of connecting with people who may not be looking for a traditional church structure, who are still hungry for meaning, spiritual practice, and honest discussion. So as a team, we have been talking about developing this center for spiritual formation as the main direction for our redevelopment. And that name's just a placeholder. So if anyone has any better ideas, good ideas, please let us know. But a Center for Spiritual Formation would be an outward-focused initiative, community-facing. It might include learning groups, spiritual practice groups, retreats, conversation circles, field trips, interfaith discussions, support for people rethinking their faith, and more. Our goal is to create spaces where people can ask real questions, deepen their spiritual lives or start their spiritual lives, learn from one another, find community, and experience faith as something thoughtful. That sounds like us. Compassionate. That sounds like us. And connected to the community and the world, which also sounds like us. So some examples we've included here. This is just the tip of the iceberg, really. Christianity 101. Scripture interpretation and spiritual practice. Wild church and creation care. Interfaith dialogue and community learning. Faith after church hurt. Prayer discernment and contemplative practices. Storytelling, testimony, and calls to discipleship. Low barrier social gatherings and creative ways to build community. Now, as I'm standing here, I've got 10 other ideas, and I can see the wheels turning here. We are a very creative group, and there is a lot of interesting ideas out there in our congregation. And we'd really like to have a big tent where all of these ideas can be developed and made into something that we offer to the community. This idea of a spiritual formation initiative arose as an amalgamation of many of those future stories that were turned in. This is a big tent, like I said, that takes the threads, the impulses, and the hopes of many of your stories, as well as the organic conversations that you've articulated. It's your hopes and concerns that we have heard over these many months. It's an expression of what we believe is on our congregation's hearts and what's on God's heart for this community of Champaign-Urbana that we love so much. So we want to ask you, does this direction feel faithful? Is it energizing to you? Is it a good direction for our continued discernment? So we have a couple of questions for you to take home. What excites you about this direction? What questions do you have? What kind of spiritual formation opportunities do you think people in our community need? And what programs do you need? So Isaac's going to come up and wrap us up. Yes? Okay. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you, New Beginnings team. Just to make sure we're all understanding, this questions document, you can fill this out right now. Or you can take it home with you, or you can email me your answers to it. But we want your feedback is the biggest part of today that I really hope you are hearing. If you want to fill this out and finish it, you can put it right here on the communion table and we will gather it. The New Beginnings team is going to meet Tuesday and hopefully collect a lot of that feedback. Tuesday is not the deadline for feedback, but if you want it to be part of the conversation that the New Beginnings team is going to continue to have, it'd be great if we got that feedback by Tuesday. That's what, if you are joining us online, I got a text from one person, but that's what in the comments is the link to this document, and you can find all of the questions in that document as well. Otherwise, please reach out if you have any other questions, comments, concerns about any of those things. Thank you all so much as we continue to discern our way forward. I hope that you take some time to take deep breaths and think about the exciting things that are coming. And finally, I've said it 100 times, and I'm going to say it one more time, take some care packages and put them in your car so that you can also be part of everything that we are doing here at UniPlace. Thank you all, and have a wonderful week.